Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and those who identify as otherwise, and welcome to this special evening of racing here on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel. It's the fifth and final round of the SSRI Season 5 Tier 2 Championship. And what a race we have in store for us tonight. The championships are still wide open, well, except for the overall in silver that seems to be locked down and have already been mathematically secured by Richard Prixley. But besides that, we are looking forward to an interesting race where a lot of things can change up in the standings on the final round. Not much needs to be said about that, except for the sign-ups for next season are open on the simgrid.com. Go and find us there, sign up for next season if you haven't already done that. And do remember that in this upcoming weekend, on Saturday to be more specific, in this upcoming weekend at about 12:20 Central European time, we'll be taking a look on the next round of the SSRI Endurance Championship, 12 hours of Spa. What a wonderful event we have coming up in the weekend. Remember to tune in for that one as well, as it will be a mighty race with tons and tons of great action for you guys out there. But yeah, just to talk a little bit about the season that I've passed so far, it's been great and extremely entertaining here in the second tier. Of course, the first race was won quite dramatically by Andrew Priatko, who I don't think will be racing tonight, unfortunately. The first and only race of the season with the LFM Bob before that got taken away for round 2, and after that we have seen quite a bit of dominance from Richard Prixley in his mighty Nissan GTR. What a wonderful machine to see on track, to be perfectly honest. Great to see these older cars being used. A little bit unfortunate that he have been so damn dominant in the car. If we could have added some fun ballast to him just for the sake of it, we would obviously have done that, but apparently some people didn't think that was appropriate. But hey ho, it is what it is. A lot of interesting racing for him. Furthermore, in the championship that have passed us so far, we have seen quite a few interesting battles going on, especially in the AM class, where there've only been one race winner, or one guy who have won more than one race, which would be Valencia, who are leading the championship at the minute on 77 points, but only 4 points clear of Greg Hill in second. That could be something to look out for tonight, as those guys will definitely be challenging and battling each other for the championship win in the AM class. But yeah, Valencia tonight. We had a good race last week in the first tier of the SSRI as well, where the championship was decided there. Unfortunate racing there from Sim, who got caught out in the rain in qualifying and didn't manage to take the title for once. To be honest, he has been so dominant in the other seasons. Good to see him giving someone else a chance to win a title in the first tier. But yeah, it is what it is. Valencia tonight, rain could be coming for these drivers as well. Not the highest of chances, and in sunny Spain, or the sunny virtual Spain, you never know what could happen. Rain could put a spanner into the works of some of the drivers, as we haven't seen rain in the second tier all season, at least in the races, which is quite interesting and a fun thing to think about. Speaking of Valencia, I think we have a track guide coming up, so we can take a closer look on the track. Long start, finish straight. Leading into turn 1, a bit tricky this corner. You have to gear down a few times, then just throw the car in, hope that you get it just right. You can use the inside AstroTurf and most of the outside AstroTurf as well before getting a track warning. We'll get more into track warnings later. Turn 2, almost a 180-degree hairpin. Great overtaking corner. But do remind yourself that if you are on the outside for that one, you will get the inside for this complex down here. A lot of battles can happen here. We saw that both in endurance and in the first tier, that this was a place that overtakes could happen. You can be side by side all the way throughout these following corners. This corner in particular, you can also use to set up a good overtaking move into this upcoming corner, as the optimal line will be very wide on the entry, where you could brake much later on the inside to sneak the position and lock down the corner on the inside. Down the back straight, not the longest of back straights in the world, but still great opportunity for braking battles coming into this one. Also an almost 180-degree hairpin. Very difficult to get right and get the car hooked on the inside. Very important to do so, as you lose quite a bit of time not getting it hooked through the two S's. Very important for this corner that you set it up correctly and get the braking right. We have seen a lot of drivers go very wide here, and a lot of drivers braking way too early, losing a lot of time. Before this small straight, very important as well. This is a place where track warnings can happen, especially this one we're coming up to here. You gear down, hit the inside curve, or try to avoid, depending on your car. Then you can use a lot of the outside curve, but using too much will unsettle the car, and using way too much, you will get the track cut warning for that. We even saw a driver getting a track warning before the race started last week. Final corner, tricky as well. You have to get hooked on the inside. You have to be patient with the throttle before going on to the start-finish straight. Pit entry is quite easy on this one. The exit can be a little bit more difficult with the pit lines. I'm not sure that we get the track camera running all the way down. Again, we didn't, but pit exit are a thing to look out for, as it is difficult keeping the car within the exit lines. Out there, we can actually just see a little bit of it here. It's very narrow on the outside. You're getting thrown right onto the apex after you've exited the marked pit exit. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how the drivers get around on this one. Valencia have been known to be a little bit of a track cut heavy track. We might see drive-throughs due to the track cuts this evening. I think most people did manage to keep it somewhat clean in Tier 1, but that doesn't mean that the Tier 2 drivers will do the same. A lot of the corners are very tricky, where you basically need to be right on the edge of the track limits to get the absolute maximum out of the car. I think we'll see a lot of invalid lap times in qualifying as well, due to this strange fact about the track. A track famously known for, well, they've done a few Formula 1 tests here, but it's a very motorcycle-friendly circuit with a huge grandstand on the backside of the track. It's not even filled out by the virtual fans. That's how big it is. Normally we see the grandstands packed to the limits in these virtual races, but not tonight, my friends. It's way too large for that. That's not putting anything on the drivers, of course, as this will be highly entertaining, these Tier 2 drivers. We have seen them do a lot of wheel-to-wheel action during the entirety of the season. And the thing about the Tier 2 that even with two drivers who are doing the same lap times, they might not find the same places on the track. We often see a driver being half a second faster in Sector 1, but then another driver will find all the time again, maybe in Sector 2 or 3, and then equal in the remaining sector. So that's something to look out for in this one. Also important to see who dares to go the lowest with the wings and gets the most speed down the straights, as that's obviously where you want to get the overtakes done. Into turn 1 can be difficult if you don't get the overtake done before you start braking into the corner. It's very tricky to get two cars through there at a decent speed, so you will lose a lot of time trying that. So smart drivers who know that they have to clear drivers and go further up quickly. The people who might be putting themselves in a tough qualifying position, they will have to think about that in the race. And if we are very lucky, Chris could show us a little bit of the standings before we go live, as that is quite interesting coming into this round. Not entirely sure if you have it right here. Oh well, at least in a second up back. Hey, here we go. As you can see in the top, Richard Prixley have cleared out and taken the championship. But do remember, top 3 gets automatic promotion into the next group of driver categories, which means the silver drivers will become semi-pros and move into Tier 1. And that's quite interesting because the gaps from that's forming behind Richard Prixley are not that big. Mick Shinklin's on 55 points. Frank Hubb just 2 points behind him in current 3rd place, and Shinklin's, Hubb and Prixley are the ones who are in the promotion positions at the minute. Bart Swearing 1 point away from that magical 3rd position. Same goes from Andrew Priatko, who are not here tonight, I believe. Party 6 points away from that, and Milan Dumar 11. We don't know if these drivers are here. At least Dumar, we haven't seen too much consistency in his showing up for the race. He's only done 2 races so far this season, but good results for him in those races. And moving on to the AM drivers, where it's a little bit more interesting up in the top end of the field. No one have seemed to really get away. Get away from the rest of the pack, as Wouter Wins leads that one on 77 points. Craig Hill second, 4 points behind Wouter Wins for P1 in the AM category. Cohen Geens in 3rd, 7 points off of the top, but that's the magical position. That's that 3rd one that gets the promotion into the silver class. Michael DeGore 16 away from winning AM. Not that big of a chance for him to do that, as he would need some other drivers to get into issues, but only 9 points away from that 3rd position. Then the final driver who have a realistic chance, who would need massive amounts of luck, but still quite a bit of it going her way, would be the magical Denise Pope, who had quite a bit of a showing last time at Mount Panorama, finishing 2nd in class. And what a drive from her! 22 points off of Wouter Wins and 14 away from that 3rd position. We'll try and keep somewhat of a record of what's going on in the race, and doing our calculations in the heads about who needs to do what to get the positions and scores they need. Though our math are not our strongest side, but especially on a Tuesday night. But it is what it is here on the SSRI YouTube channel, as we are very shortly getting into the qualifying session of Valencia for this final round of the SSRI Tier 2 Championship. I wish I had someone to ask about who their favorites for pole position are. Oh wait, hello there. Who are your favorites for pole position tonight, Mr. Evil Twin? Richard Prixley. Oh, why do you think that Prixley will get pole? He's best driver. Nissan good. Okay, can you maybe tell us a little bit more in detail? No. Okay, then I don't think we want to talk to you anymore, Mr. Evil Twin, if you are so rude to us. But nevertheless, live track action right on the mark, of course. Iron van der Linden in the frame. No one has set a lap time yet, as we have just joined them on their out laps, basically. Good look on the THRC race car, that Golf livery, one of the more classic liveries from this season. Oh, some people are actually putting lap times in now. Bart Swearing, the first man to set a time. I think that will be beaten at some point. Unsure about that, of course, but it would be very likely as it is super close up there. Aaron van Duren makes it to the race. One of my favorite all-time liveries and one of my favorite cars as well. This magical Mercedes. The CBSR team are always some interesting people when you get to talk to them or just chat with them. They seem to... I just had some note coming up on my screen that I didn't need to have. Game crash, it looked like, but that won't matter for the... Priatkov joined us. Priatkov joined us on the racing server as well. But Van Doren P3 at the minute behind Van Dryle and Prixley who have taken the at least provisional pole position at this point, which was sort of to be expected. That looked very wide there from Van Doren. I don't think that time will stay on the board. Jumping down to Cohen Geens in the FedEx car. He'll have to deliver this one to a good result tonight to get anything out of the season. Oh, what was going on in the background there? That seemed a bit funky. But he'll have to deliver the car to a good position. He did do a good job on Mount Panorama of keeping that car on the track and battling it out all the way to the end for the top honors in the AM category. Let's see what he can do tonight. A little bit wide there. That's what I was talking about. The car's getting upset if you go too wide. There's that curve that comes across the AstroTurf that will bump the car and put it a little bit off. But I do think that he kept it clean over there. You can take some liberties on the track limits in that particular corner, but not too much, of course. Let's see what happens when he goes across the line. 0.7 behind overall leader Richard Prixley. I think we have already seen the pole time from Mr. Prixley there. But my game have crashed, which means that I have no data running to see who's up or down. But I do believe that Chris Hill will keep me informed in the back of my head. Denise Pope increasing by 0.6 at this point and catching a good bit of slipstream coming up to the line. P13 for the Porsche so far. Bit of a difficult track for the Porsche, some say. Other people says that it's a good track for the Porsche. Interesting to see what she can do tonight. We do see Schinkelens further up the field in the only other Porsche. We have it here, and you know the Porsches, they need to have some sort of pink on them for some reason in the second tier. Although they both look awesome. Just saw the Iron Dames Porsche livery for this upcoming WEC season. It looks like they have taken a lot of inspiration from Denise's Wild Things Racing Porsche. Looks quite similar there. Maybe Denise had something to do with that. Honestly, I don't know, but yeah, following Schinkelens on the invalid lap up to Swearing, just about to cross the line, 0.4 up, puts him into P4 at the minute, only 2/10 behind Partis, who have snatched pole away from Prixley. How did we not see that? Partis have taken provisional pole, Prixley down in P2, but less than a 10th behind. Knowing Prixley, he will be pushing that car to the absolute limits of his abilities to get that pole back. He have been perfect ever since Kota in regards of poles and race wins. And he does get a little bit of a slipstream here, but whether or not that's enough, as he might have been slowed down by the car ahead earlier, doesn't seem like. He does improve, but not by a lot. Does Prixley, and then he bails off to go for a fresh set of tires or a sleeker set of rubbers or whatever they say in America. Although it doesn't matter what they say in America as we are in Europe, so hey ho. Shelikins up by 0.3 at this point. That could promote him all the way up into 5th if he keeps it going around the lap in the Porsche. That would be a bit of a drive from him. Around the hairpin, increasing slightly more, or well, taking slightly more off of his precipice, but that's too wide. That's definitely too wide. I think that's an invalid lap from Schinkelens there. Difficult corner we saw there. Pascal Vida improving by 0.5. That could be a new pole position time, or at least provisional pole time, if he keeps it going. That was a strange way to enter the pit lane in the background. Yes, Pascal Vida, ladies and gentlemen, from Sim Racing Holland, takes provisional pole with just under 12 minutes to go. Way too wide that looks like, but I think you just need to keep 2 wheels in the AstroTurf to keep it clean. So he's still on for another lap. Further down the field, Andrew Priatko, former race winner, the only one except Richard Prixley who have managed to win a race this season, as Priatko won by quite the margin at Paul Ricard, first race of the season. That was he have gone for a different livery this time around as well. He's in the Ram Racing livery car. Last time he was using the Mad Panda Motorsports, one of my personal favorites of the real liveries in the game. But the Ram Racing is pretty awesome as well. Through the final corner, let's see what time that Priatko can put on the board. It will be interesting. We are expecting him to do quite well. The Mercedes are somewhat strong here. Only 18th at this point. Not the best of laps from Priatko. He will need to improve that if he wants to live up to the great expectations we have to him. Obviously, he doesn't know that at this point, but unless he listens to the broadcast in the background. Cohen Geens improving ever so slightly. He could potentially, with the current improvement challenge for at least 5th. It does look like that he can beat out Swearing if he keeps it together and doesn't make a mistake. Maybe improves a little bit further through the remainder of the lap. Ooh, a little bit too wide there, but still clean, I think. But that compromises the penultimate corner here, the very long left-hander. Into the final corner. He does get it hooked up on the inside. No wheel slipping. I said that too early. I said that a little bit too early as he invalidates the lap, and he'll ruin the next lap as well by having that that mistake. I think he'll go into the pits immediately. 0.2 up from this CBSR driver Aaron Van Doren, who I saw on the practice server for Spa just before this race, so he might not be too familiar with the track. Into 7th position from Van Doren. Good drive from him. We also expect him to be up there fighting for the top positions when he's on the track and not too drunk to drive, of course. Also, drivers in that team does have a tendency to be. Prickly doesn't get that corner hooked up too nice, but does get the rotation at the end of it, getting some traction out of the, I would say, the final hairpin-ish corner. Not taking as much inside curb as he probably could have done in the Nissan, but does get the second part of that one hooked up. Into the final corner we go. He is onto a side improvement over the inside curb, at least I think so since we're following him. Into the inside curb, outside curb, still valid, I do believe. Doing it all again. Will he improve or not? No, doesn't look like he went up there in the timing sheet or improved his lap time, unfortunately for Priestley, but he can definitely go again, as he'll be trying to snatch that pole away from Pascal Vida of all people. Further down the grid, Van Dosberg, P21. There's definitely time for him to be found around here. He haven't had the greatest of laps previously, but it does look better this time around. Don't think it's enough to put him up into 20, but he will take some points a little bit out the gap, I think. Did he? Yeah, he did. It's basically him and Brock Hoven who are a little bit behind in time, but I do think that they have just had some iffy laps. They can get their cars up there. If they just manage to get it hooked together, some indicating going on there from Brock Hoven. He must have let a driver past on his last lap since he had that going. But interesting to see that the people in the pits now, they're probably putting on tires for their final runs, where the drivers on track, they could potentially still take another set of tires if they are not happy with the laps that they're currently on. Richard Priestley are currently improving, and it could be just about enough for pole position if he keeps it going in the number 7 car. It's a fun thing when you look on the numbers, you always have... Does he get it? It's very close, very close. He does get it! Priestley to provisional pole position, but that number 7, I'm still familiar in my head that it's the number of Kimi Räikkönen, of course. The number of our own community legend, who's also reminding me in the back of my head, but I was thinking about that honestly when I was starting this sentence, that it's the number of Chris Hill, or at least the number that used to belong to Chris Hill when he was racing. Good to see the great numbers being run out here. Wouter wins. Chris, we can hear double Oliver. Someone's mentioning in the chat, but if you could, that's just double the experience for you guys out there, of course. Nothing wrong with that. The more the merrier, isn't that what they are saying? Is that better out there in the chat currently? Wouter wins improves a tiny bit. Putting himself up into 8th position. Still waiting for replies whether or not that the sound delay have been improved. Yeah, they're still bringing on Van Dryle further down the field. Where's he on the track? He's in the tricky corner. Does seem to get it going, but he's apparently on an invalid lap, so it doesn't matter too much how good he was taking that one. But nevertheless, he gets to start another lap. Gone now, they say in YouTube. Chris, you did manage to get it sorted as a professional that you are. Following Vida around. Potentially challenging Brixley for pole position. He is about 0.2 of a second up currently. This could be the new provisional pole lap that Pascal Vida gets in if he gets this hooked up. Doesn't look too good this one, but it's still valid. But whether or not that he lost too much time, then we'll have to wait and see. Into the final corner we go for Pascal Vida. Final race didn't get that hooked up too nicely. Still up by 0.1, not as much as he was earlier. Will it be enough to beat Richard Brixley? Just about. With 22 thousandths of a second. Pascal Vida on provisional pole at the minute. Brixley currently in the pit lane. He will only get about 1 or 2 attempts to improve his lap time and needs to get back out on track ASAP. He is moving now, exiting the pit lane. Shanklin's 11th position at the minute, but he's improving by 0.4 of a second. Well, in rounded numbers, of course, we don't have the more precision. 0.5 at this point. This could potentially be a super exit challenge for pole position. He did lose a bit there, a little bit, but he does get some slipstream that could help him. P4 for Shanklin's in the Porsche. Good job. Good job there from Shanklin's. Getting it going. And seeing that Porsche Van Dryle improves quite a bit as well. Jumps all the way up into 7th position. The 3 AM drivers of Craig Hill, Jesse Van Dryle and Cohen Geens doing a good job at this point. I'm just opening my sheet here to see it's Craig Hill. I don't Van Dryle are not in the championship mix, or at least for the top 3. But Craig Hill and Cohen Geens could potentially gain quite a few points on Wouter wins if Wouter doesn't. Well, he's only down in 4th, but it could be a chance for them to go snatch some points and take the championship away from Wouter wins. Following Michael de Gore around in the Optimum Motorsports machine. Also a fun livery on that one. Improving by 0.3 now down to 0.2. Ooh, someone spun it. I wonder if that little interference there, that did something for Michael de Gore's lap time. Coming down the start-finish straight, still 0.3 up on his current best. Let's see how far he jumps up when he crosses start-finish line, up into 13th position from de Gore. As we have been speaking, Wouter Wins have also jumped up into 8th in the AM class. Which is quite interesting. Brixley also on a timed lap now. He'll have this one and maybe 2 more actually if he's quick enough about it and keeps it mistake-free. Only people who are severely out of position at the minute would be Frank Hopp, who are challenging for P2 in the silver category. A bit disappointing from him if he doesn't improve his qualifying. This could hurt his championship by quite a bit, starting that far down. 0.2 up is bound to win. That could put him on provisional AM pole position if he keeps it going. Current championship leader as well in the DDS racing car. They have changed liveries during the season, so they're now the M&M's team. I wonder which ones are their favorites, if it's the ones with the peanuts in the middle or just the regular ones, also the ones with the salt caramel. Only 7th position, 1 spot behind AM pole at the minute for Wouter Wins. Craig Hill still holds on to that one by just 20 thousandths of a second. And Andrew Priatko, 0.3, I think I was told in the back of my head, up on his current best. This could also be good for him, and he's quite early in the lap as well. Only coming into the 2nd hairpin at this point, or 3rd hairpin-ish corner at this point. He could be on a good improvement. Andrew Priatko over the curb, doesn't take too much of the inside. Looks somewhat okay on the 2nd one. improved up to 0.4. This could put him up into the top 5 if he keeps it going. Not the greatest of exits there onto the start-finish straight. But what will it be for Andrew Priatko? He jumps up to 6th position, 1.85, and he does have the speed. If he just cleans up that final corner, he could challenge for pole position. Speaking of pole, both Pascal Vida and Parties are in the pit lane at the minute, so only Richard Prixley of the top 3 have a chance of improvement at this point, following Prixley around now. 3 corners to go, 2 corners to go. He is very close to his own personal best at the minute, but only 22 thousandths of a second to snatch at least provisional pole with less than a minute to go. Start-finish straight from Richard Prixley. What will it be? Can he improve? Can he take the pole away from Pascal Vida? No! 10 thousandths away from Prixley. He still have one more shot at this. Final qualifying lap of the season for Richard Prixley. Can he make it 4 for 4 in the 4 final races in the mighty Nissan? One last shot of this for Richard Prixley and the other drivers who are crossing the line within the next 8 seconds. On board photos now, we can see the steering inputs of the car. Normally very stable car. The Nissan GT, I think the number 14 car, was the final one to cross the start-finish line to start a new timed lap. Well, that would have been the 14 car of Ian van der Linden. Good timing from him. On board with Richard Prixley. I am being told some time updates in the back of my head from Chris Hill, going so fast that it's a little bit hard to keep up with. He did lose a bit in the first part of the track, but clawed it back through that hairpin, it seemed to. He does still have a chance. Richard Prixley goes a little bit wider, but that does seem to be his preferred line through that hairpin corner, getting the early on the front and getting the better exit. Into the tricky corner, does seem very nice through there. No problem so far from Richard Prixley. One more corner to go. Good on the brakes. Will he get it hooked on the inside? Nicely hooked there early on the throttle as well. No wheel slip, it looked like. Very close. No, he bails off. He bails out of it. Unfortunate there. Yeah, that's qualifying over. Richard Prixley does not make it 4 for 4. Very interesting to see. This could be a good one for you guys out there tonight. Prixley might actually have to show his racecraft in overtakes tonight for the first time this season. I'll just have a sip of the magical talking water. Some might also call it an adult beverage, but you call it what you want out there. What a show these guys put on for us for the final qualifying of the season. Yes, very good. I thought I told you to go away, Evil Twin. Enough of you. Move. Thank you. Very nice qualifying session this time around. Extremely tense to the final lap for Prixley there. He did seem to be a little bit off his personal best in the first sector, but he did claw it back in. And wasn't invalid on our screen, so I don't know why he didn't cross the finish line. If he just decided that that he wasn't enough up on his lap time, or if he was running out of fuel, or he just needed to practice the pit entry maybe. We're getting double Oliver's, double Chaos, but I think that's just referring to earlier messages in the YouTube chat. I do believe that we have solved the problem of double sound. We haven't had any more complaints about that, so we think it's all good up here. Interesting to see what how this race will pan out. Good mixed grid. We see for the final race this season. Good to see you as well, Dimitri Schenker, and have fun you too. Good luck in the race. Hopefully it will be a busy one for you, but please don't give us too much action for the stream. My voice literally can't take another good race in this championship. That I might have to retire due to loss of voice if it becomes too tense in this one. Nevertheless, we are getting somewhat close to a point where we could probably find some information on the grid. My game crashed, so I don't have the usual informations in the background, but here we go on the grid as we speak. getting a little bit of a tour down it, I think, that Chris Hill is preparing for us. In pole position for the first time this season, Pascal Vida in the Lamborghini. Perfect drive from him. Richard Prixley lines up in second. Third, Mick Shinklin. Someone haven't slotted into the actual third position there for some reason. Nevertheless, currently on our screens, it's Shinklin's in third. Bart Swearing in fourth position. In the Ferrari, best Ferrari on the grid. A little bit interesting to see that not that many Ferraris in tier 2. Andrew Priatko in fifth position, third row of the grid, which is technically fourth because of the lagging car, but third row on the grid. Craig Hill, AM class leader. Good to see him up on in sixth. Wouter Vince seventh. Championship leader in the AM category, Jesse Van Dyne, who have had some good races and some awful races this season, following in behind in 8th, 9th position, Cohen Geens. Interesting to see what he can do. Aaron Van Duren all the way down in 10th. We had great expectations to him before the start of the season, but they haven't really panned out for him. Dimitri Schenk in 11th. Beautiful livery in that car, by the way. Honestly, most of the cars are very nice. Michael de Gorway in 12th position. Iron van der Linden lines up next to him in 13th. 14th are the community legend Steve Parker, Mr. Practice himself. Next to Parker will be Peter Brooklyn, who managed to get quite a good improvement later on there in the qualifying. Denise Pope down in 16th position. Bar Loso in 17th. 18th will be Wouter van der Woert. Also a little bit out. No, that's Frank Hopp. Sorry, Frank Hopp. A little bit out of position. He will have to make up quite a bit of ground this race if he wants to stay in the battle for top 3 in silver category. Then we are on to Wouter van der Woert in the second. I can't remember the team name for the life of me. But nevertheless, lines up further down the grid in the 19th, 20th position is Van Dorsberg in the McLaren. 21st will be Brockhoven, then another slot on the grid that's not taken up there, and then Partis rounds it out in 22nd. Well, wasn't Partis the guy who we are lacking in where he should be on third for some reason? I do believe that Partis is the driver who should have been up there on the grid, but I wonder what happened there. Must have had a disconnect, but I actually do think if you disconnect and log back in during the session, then you keep your lap time. Maybe it's because he had a disconnect late in qualifying and didn't rejoin until the race had started counting down. Not sure about how that works exactly, but it is what it is. He will have a big race ahead of him. He'll have to do a Nard Cox from last season, at least from season 4, where he started from the back in every single race, just for the fun of it and trying to get back through the grid, and did quite a good job of that. So it's not impossible for Partis to secure some good points. He is technically in the hunt for the automatic promotion into the semi-pros if he does well. Partis is only 6 points away from third in the silver championship. So if he wants that, he needs to get up there. Though one of his other competitors, Frank Hopp, who is currently set in third in silver, starts all the way down in 18th position. So that will be something to look out for. And the cars are rolling finally for the formation lap. Pascal Vida, great qualifying from him. I don't think we can put enough emphasis on that. What a performance to beat out Richard Prixley in the prime of that Nissan GTR. Maybe this track just doesn't suit the Nissan as much as some of the others. It is very low. Curbs around here as the track are built for motorcycles and are raced commonly by motorcycles, and that might be one of the reasons, but nevertheless Pascal Vida will lead the drivers over the start-finish line for the first time this season. Interesting with Shinklins there in third now. He could potentially get the jump on Prixley in the start, as that Porsche are very good off the line. I don't have great memories of how good the Nissan are off the line, to be perfectly honest with you guys, but we'll have to wait and see. I do believe that we will get an answer to that in this race. Of course, I'll just have another sip of this magical talking water. It's actually pretty good. I don't know who that magic man who invented that was, but what an invention. Hero legend. Man goes by many names. Nevertheless, it's not just Pascal Vida who have done a good job taking the pole. Craig Hill, of course, in the AM category as well. This will be very good for him as he's currently second in the AM Championship, 4 points behind Wouter Wins. Which means that if Craig Hill wins the AM tonight and Wouter Wins finishes second, I do believe it's scored 25-21 between first and second, so that would actually equal out the scorings there in the AM category, and then it would be a countdown to race wins. I can't remember how they stand on that, but that's another story in this race that we'll have to follow. We are getting more and more ready to go green, of course. So interesting to see how that will pan out. I actually think if Craig Hill wins, then they'll have an equal amount of firsts and an equal. Then Wins will get it by having a second position. But onto the start-finish line we go. Getting ready for the 5th race of the second tier in the SSRI Season 5. The season finale, of course, here in Valencia. And we are very close to be racing! Good start from Pascal Vida. Does look like that that Prixley managed to actually start further up on the on the start line there than Vida. Prixley gets the run into turn 1. Does steal it away from Pascal Vida, but will Vida try it into the second corner? No, he backs out a little bit, being smart about it. I think Pascal Vida there, as he have other things to worry about. Schenkelins are being spun around in the background. Big chaos there. Denise Pope gets collected. I think that's Frank Hobb as well, who is out there and parked on the outside of turn 1. We're probably getting a replay of this at some point, but jumping further up the field, following Craig Hill around. He was also involved in this one. Very unfortunate there for one of the top contenders in the AM category. This is not good for him. Who is the Lamborghini behind Craig Hill? That's Brock Hoven, it looks like. Did Wouter Woods get around this one scot-free? I don't think he did. It looks like Jesse van Dreiler now leading the AM with Steve Parker in second, and Wouter Woods, Wouter Wins all the way down in 17th position as he gets spun around again. No, that wasn't Woods. I think that was Frank Hobb. Oh, that's Frank Hobb is not having a good one here. He might lose out on that top 3 and the automatic promotions into the semi-pros because of this one horrendous first lap, and of course the bad qualifying as well. Not good for Frank Hobb and his hopes of that. Further up the field, Richard Prixley are starting to break a little bit away from Pascal Vida, but only 1 lap into the race. Let's see the time difference as they cross the start-finish line for the first time, racing 0.8 seconds. Prixley haven't gotten the gap big enough yet for him to just chill down and relax in the front of this this pack. Pascal Vida will definitely be pushing to catch up to Prixley in this one. He can smell the opportunity of a race win, can Pascal Vida. Also a good start from Van Duren. He really managed to take full advantage of that big chaos there in the second corner, as Aaron Van Duren all the way up into 4th position, starting 10th, I believe he was. That could be good for Van Duren as well in the championship standings. Not enough, I think, to get him up into the potential promotion position. No, he's not even on my sheet of potential drivers for that. Yellow flags again. I think that's the something 9. I hope it's not the 79, but nevertheless, I think it's a 19 car who is causing the yellows in the background. That's Dimitri Schenk. Dimitri Schenk joining Frank Hobb in the back of the grid. Here we have a replay of what happened in turn 2. Schenkelins are the car ahead. They're getting spun around, and then the Constantina effect in the background. Just a lot of cars there getting caught unaware of the crash ahead of them. It looks like not going the correct way around it. Also a little bit difficult to see when you are further down the field with all those cars ahead of you. Very unfortunate for them. Pascal Vida only loses the 10th to Prixley this time around. Maybe Vida just needs a little bit of time to get those tires heated. He's definitely close to the pace of Prixley in this one. It only takes a small mistake from Prixley, and then Vida will be right back in it. Big gap is forming though behind Pascal Vida down to Jesse van Dreiler and Aaron Van Duren, who's putting the pressure on him, as Bart Swearing are also starting to close in on this train. Here we go from the roof of Jesse van Dreiler's McLaren car. Looking back onto Aaron Van Doren, and shout out to Steve Parker as well, up into 6th position. Great drive from him, not where we are, and second in class, not where we usually see him as consistency. Have been a bit of a struggle for him, but I hope he can keep this one going. Looking back from JC Van Draal's car onto the 69 machine of Aaron Van Doren. Van Doren will probably try and find a way through Van Draal. We know Van Doren aren't usually a smart driver if the alcohol haven't kicked in too much in his blood yet. And he might not be super interested in going for the move on Van Draal, but he's also a racer, as we might get to see it. He will try it if the opportunity arises. I don't think that we'll see him do a full no-brain move and just launch it into a corner. But you never know. You never know if these drivers, what could possibly happen. Further down the field, they're also transforming behind Michael De Gore. There's quite a big one, stretching from De Gore in 9th and down to Parties in 12th. But let's see, the Mercedes doesn't usually have some top speed, and in the slipstream, not catching that much to Van Draal. Not enough to get the move done, at least. I think no, and Van Doren just chucks in behind and doesn't get close enough to try the move into turn 2. Unfortunate for him. There are basically a few trains forming. There's also a train near the 6th car of Van der Wood. Another replay we're getting here of what happened to Dimitri Schenk. Dimitri is the front guy in this the field in the 19 car. A little bit of a launch there from Priatko. I did say before the race that was a place you could make the overtake, but it does require the driver ahead of you knowing that you're coming. Doing a good job there of just keeping on the brakes, letting people pass, and when he knew it was safe, he reversed off the track. Smart driving from Dimitri Schenk, not causing any further issues, as it looks like Van Doren tried the move or misbraked himself, and he actually lost out there to Bart Swearing, which means that Van Draal can take a little bit of a breather at this point before getting put under pressure again. But battles are happening at a few other places on the track. If we jump down to the car number 8 or car 213, the 8 car would be De Gore. 213 would be Wouter Vince, who needs to catch up. A few positions are being swapped around. Further down the grid here, we have De Gore and the train of 4 cars that he is currently leading. Look at that in the background, they're getting very close to contact between, I think that was Parties and Brooklyn. Brooklyn also quite far up the grid, considering where he usually is in these races. So he'll be a guy that these other drivers will have to try and pass. Defensive now decides Van der Linden, Wouter Vincent, Denise Pope drives into the pits. Remember, it's a 60-minute race, so the drivers will have to change their tires in this one. But they might carry damage and then just trying to get out and clean there and run their own race from this point. If they do... Aaron is off, and Bart Swearing as well. There must have been contact up there for P4, which means Steve Parker gets promoted into P4 overall, and Bart is waiting there for Van Doren. So I think that might have been Bart or Van Doren getting through, and then Bart trying a cutback that wasn't on. Van Doren definitely have 2 hot tires. We could see that quite easily there as Bart slides through after that small Van Doren mistake. But that cost him quite a bit, as Craig Hill are now behind them. I think this will be very hard to calculate the championship results after the race with how chaotic this start have been for both the AM and silver classes in this one. Unfortunate for the 2 non-mathematics who are sat here in this small shed. Ooh, close there. Van Doren have managed to get his way through Swearing at this point again. Let's see what happens. Oh, it doesn't look like the Swearing misses the brakes by that much, but just a tiny bit, as Van Doren might have been a little bit earlier on this than Swearing on it there, and then just rear-ends him. Van Doren definitely have a lot of rear-end damage here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the pits this time around, or when we return to the live track action. But Swearing does do himself favor there and waiting for Van Doren. Swearing into the pits. Van Doren is behind him. Does not go into the pits, Van Doren. He elects to stay out on track. A little bit interesting is Swearing must have big damage on the front of that car. You can see Van Doren's car there weaving a little bit. It must be damaged. Doesn't look too stable. Into the gravel he went there, and I think that's Dimitri Schenk who moves past Van Doren. in the crippled 69 car. It might be worth for Van Duren to go into the pits and get that sorted. But this also means that Priatko, Geens and Parker, they are in the battle for 4th in the race further up the field. And Parties, Van der Linden and Brooklyn are duking it out for 8th. Ooh, that's the 14 car white. That's Van der Linden white there. That's I think that's Denise Pope there, who was going to go a lap down at this point. Difficult place to let people by there, Denise. But it is what it is. You have to get through the back markers. She's obviously a very experienced driver, doing the best she can to avoid getting in the way. Van der Woerd gets the drive-through penalty first of the race for the track cuts. In the YouTube chat, it would be fun to see your predictions of how many drivers will get drive-throughs in this race for track cuts. That's the first one. Round to Van der Woerd. Getting it there a little bit early, only 10 minutes into the race, 6 laps. That's basically a track cut every other lap, and then one extra to go to the 4th one. It's definitely going to hurt his race by quite a bit. Anyways, Van Duren gets in the pits finally with that damaged car. Wouldn't be too surprised if he just retires the car, though. I think he will keep going. First prediction for drive-throughs are 4. I think that might be a bit high, but we'll have to wait and see. I would put it on 3. Personally, let's see who else will bite into the game of predicting the drive-through. Parties all over the back of Van der Linden in the second hairpin. I think that Parties will try the move quite early. No, you do not win a pair of sim racing gloves. God damn it, Vegas. I think Parties will have to try the move on Van der Linden somewhat early if he wants to get back up to at least wants to try to challenge for the podium in this race. It's not that big of gaps ahead of him. He could by just racing very good there. Whoop. Climb back up. It's the gap between De Gore and Geens that's the largest one ahead of him, being around 5 seconds. Oh, 4.5. Parties very close to Van der Linden here. Let's see, he does pull out quite early from the slipstream. That's too early, I think, to get the move done in similar cars, but does get a better run through turn 1. Van der Linden goes wide and then Parties slips through. Now I think we'll just see Parties drive out into the distance from Van der Linden at this point. Not saying that Van der Linden is not a good driver, but Parties just seems to be in a little bit of a higher level of driving at this point of their sim racing careers. But it is what it is. Where have Pascal Vida gone? That's actually a pretty good question that I was asked in the background. I think Pascal Vida might have had a disconnect of some sorts, which means that Jesse van der Rijl are now into to P2. I think Chris say we have lost 2. I think we have lost 3 drivers, Chris, to be perfectly honest. That could have been some of the drivers involved in the early crash. But Pascal Vida, that's a bit unfortunate for the race and the action here. This leaves Prixley on a somewhat unchallenged position out in front. But Vida have definitely disappeared from this one. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, Barloso's not here either. A bit unfortunate, but I think there's one more missing. Wasn't there 22 drivers starting the race? Not sure about that, but we're about 3-4 cars down. Yes, I also feel like it's 3, but could be 4 actually. But I think it's just the 3. We know it's Vida and Barlow, so let's try and together everyone here trying to figure out who the last car missing is. It's definitely not Geens as he's making the move on Steve Parker into turn 2. Parker does go wide there after seeing Geens coming up on the inside. Parker puts the squeeze on. Geens tries the inside once again into turn 3. Aaron Van Duren gone as well at this point, but that wasn't too surprising after the immense damage that he took. Who was the other? Swearing are the other driver, of course. It's Swearing, Pascal Vida, Aaron Van Duren and Barlow, so we have lost in this race. Very unfortunate to see that. But still 18 drivers out there putting on a good show for us. Especially up here for 4th in the race at this point. Priatko have done a pretty good job of getting back up into this race, but of course helped by the retirement of Pascal Vida. It's such a shame for them. But yeah, Cohen Geens hunting down Steve Parker. Interesting to see if he can actually get the move done, as Parker have driven a phenomenal race so far. Only 15 minutes into it, of course, only 1/4 of the total race distance. Round Van der Woerd in the pits, getting his mandatory out of the way. Interesting to see where he will come out. I think that Wouter Wins will pass him at least, as one of the drivers will do that. Still following Geens around, as De Gore is actually catching up to Geens as well. Craig Hill also getting onto the back of Peter Brooklyn further down the field. Of the more interesting things happening in this one at the minute. No rain predicted as well. A bit unfortunate that we haven't seen the Tier 2 drivers in racing conditions going into the rain. It would be always fun to see. Or was there a little bit of rain on Brands Hatch? I don't think there was, not for the Tier 2 guys. I think there was in the qualifying stages of that race, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly, but I could be wrong, of course. That definitely was for the Tier 1 dudes. But yeah, I'm just being told that the settings was the same, but we know that it's a randomness factor. Chris Hill. Just trying to remember whether or not that there actually was rain. I don't think there was for the Tier 2 drivers in that race. We haven't seen the racing situation this season, as far as I remember. But Prexley out there doing a good job in P1 at this point. He can just start to relax and put it into cruise control mode. Start practicing his endurance consistency, which is, of course, very, very good. Richard Prexley, top-end driver that we will get to see in Tier 1 next season. Hopefully he'll bring the Nissan with him up to Tier 1, as then we can have a battle of the Japanese cars, as personally, myself, I'm speaking of now, of course, and just have to put a little bit of promotion out for myself. I have managed to do a little bit of a stupidity and pick the Lexus of all cars that you could run. So that car will at least be there as Steve Parker under big pressure now from Cohen Geens through turn 1 into turn 2. Geens could be having it this time around on the inside, does keep it there. Broken and Shinklin's in the pits, by the way, further down. Good for Craig Hill in his race, of course. But good move there from Cohen Geens on Steve Parker. Nicely set up and getting the better run through turn 1. He might have been lowering a bit on that through the earlier rounds, whether or not that that he felt like he was quicker through turn 1 than Steve Parker. We also know how many track warnings the drivers have. Maybe Parker's already at that point in the race where he have to be conservative in the driving, in his driving style, to avoid getting the fourth one and the famous drive-through penalty. Nevertheless, still keeping it on the track. Best placed Ferrari at this point, though. Partis is only 2.4 seconds behind, and he's very quick. Shinklin still in the pits. He must have had damage if he still stopped there. Oh yeah, he was one of the drivers who got spun in the start, so he must be repairing that at the minute. I think he got head-on collision as well with the other Porsche. Unfortunate there. Not that high speeds, of course, as I think Pope managed to get that car stopped nicely in the situation. Parker still the closest battle that we have on track are still Parker and Geens, though De Gore is closing in behind. He might be challenging in a few laps, and Shinklins are back out on track at this point, still ahead of Denise Pope, it looks like, by quite the margin. We could see a Porsche battle forming further down the field. Michael De Gore in the frame at the minute, having had a little bit of a mixed season. Some races he have been up there, showing that he can definitely challenge for podiums in the AM class. Others he have just been nowhere, being involved in I wouldn't say silly incidents, but incidents at least, putting himself further down. A bit of bad luck, maybe some would say. But this one currently fourth in the AM category, of course. Jesse Van Dijl still leading that one and keep maintaining the gap to Andrew Bradko. Very impressive from Jesse Van Dijl in this race. Good showing from him. Here we actually get him in the frame of in the VD racing car. I don't think that he was one of the drivers that we have highlighted for possible promotion. No, I don't have Van Dijl on my sheet there. I'll just have a look whether or not that it is somewhat realistic for Van Dijl. No, it would be a stretch for him to get up there. He's on 43 and Cohen Geese is on 70 ahead of him, so 40, 50. No, it's not even theoretically possible for mathematically at least. So he's just out here racing for the honor and the glory, which means that he will probably try and defend the overall P2 a bit more than if he was in an actual battle to get up there. Promotion positions. I'll just have another sip of this adult beverage, talking juice. Tastes good as always. Though Predkov managed to get closer and closer to Van Drijl further up. Although back here, the two red cars, the McLaren behind the Ferrari, Michael De Gore have caught up to Steve Parker. I would have liked to see Parker maintain a podium in this race. It would have been nice to see, as he definitely one of the drivers who deserves a good result with all the hard work that he usually puts into his driving. A lot of improvements we have seen from Parker over the last seasons. A little bit right that De Gore will have to try and figure out where he is quicker than Steve Parker, as Parker could be a tough one to overtake. We did see it took a few laps for Cohen Geens to get through or get past, at least. That was into turn 2. Let's see from on board of Michael De Gore into turn 1. Hit the brakes. He's a little bit late on the brakes, that looks like. Doesn't get it hooked on the inside. But Parker also not perfect through that corner. Not this time around into turn 2 at least. Trying to keep behind another car can be a little bit difficult from time to time. When you get the dirty air. Looks like Parker had a small oopsie there. Allowing De Gore to get nice and close to him. Following out to the back straight, close there, but not early enough on the throttle to really challenge for this one, unless if he opts to send it up the inside. Greg Hill is also close to Iron van der Linden further down, and Frank Hopp to Van Dosbeck there. Parker goes wide. This could be De Gore's chance, though not getting it in there. It would have also been a bit of a stretch. He would have had to really throttle that car hard. But look at this, De Gore under pressure from Parties as well. At this point, this could be the saving grace from Steve Parker, as we are getting within the window of the undercut strategy at this point. Split screen situation now. Bottom screen is that's Greg Hill, Iron van der Linden, and that's the lapped car of Schinkelins behind, who is trying to unlap himself at this point. Top left corner, that's Steve Parker and De Gore, and of course Parties. There, Greg Hill goes into the pits for the undercut. Not a bad idea, as we have seen the undercut being quite strong here in the second tier. Top left hand side of the screen, ladies and gentlemen. De Gore does have the run into turn 2. He is going for it. Will Parties sneak through alongside De Gore? Could Steve Parker lose 2 in one go? Ooh, contact there. I think Parties will slot in behind there for safety reasons. He does. I don't think it was completely voluntarily there from Parties that he slotted in behind, but a good move there from De Gore, and very good drive from Parties as well. Parties knows that he needs to get through as quick as possible to stick with Michael De Gore, who's moving further and further away for every time we see the cars in frame. Also interesting to see where Greg Hill comes out on track in comparison to Wout de Vince. But now we have the double screen again with Priatko and Van Drijl, bottom right hand corner of your screen. That's the battle for second position in the race. Top left hand, that's still Parties chasing Steve Parker for sixth at the minute. Parties are currently third in the silver category, which is quite funny that in the top 8 there are only 3 silver class, and the rest of them are AMs. That's a bit fun to see. difficult to tell where we really want to keep our eyes at this point, because Van Dryle is not an easy driver to overtake for Andrew Priatko. He can definitely get close, but Van Dryle have seemed to show a lot of pace. With Parties and Steve Parker, it looks like that Parker is very slow out of turn 1 every time. But he does take the racing line into turn 2, which means that it is hard to get a car up on the inside as he is trail braking a little bit there for optimum line. And though look at how close Parties are through these through the more technical part of the track, the medium speed corners. Big difference there between Parties and Parker. Same machinery, getting close there to contact from Parties as well. Same machinery between the two, though different setups could definitely be a thing between Parker and Parties. If I was Parties at this point, I would probably go for the pit stop if Parker stays out. And try to lose as little time as possible behind him. Same situation for Priatko and Degor. Sorry, Priatko and Van Dryle, of course, for P2 overall in the race. We are within the window of the undercut. Van Dryle with a small mistake there. Andrew Priatko on the inside, down the start-finish, straight they go. Looks like Andrew Priatko have cleared Van Dryle there and takes second place in the race. He's a little bit cautious of moving into the racing line. What's that going up in the top left-hand side of the screen as well? Parties and Parker have now caught up to a back marker. It looks like, is that Frank Hobbs' car? Of all cars they could get up to. It's definitely a similar color card. Could be Brockhoven as well. One of the two at least. There we go. Parties as Parker again doesn't get the best turn 1. Parties on the inside for turn 2. This should be done and dusted. 2 overtakes in 2 laps we have seen. I think that was Brockhoven. They leapt there and helped the Parties out by quite a bit, as we saw Schenkelins in the background of that frame. But Parties gets the overtake on Steve Parker, putting himself up into 6th position. But he is quite far back on Michael Degore. No, Michael Degore haven't had the best of corners. It looks like 1.2 seconds are the gap between Degore and Parties at this point. Parties can definitely hunt Degore down. He does have the pace for it, so it will be interesting to see what will happen between these guys, and whether or not that some pit stop strategies will come into play, or if they both take it at exactly the halfway point of the race. Further down the field, looks like that Schenkelins have just made the overtake on Brockhoven, or at least within the last sector as well. As Brockhoven must have made a mistake, as he's not even in the frame anymore. But yeah, he's on the back of that train. Brockhoven in the picture here. P16 in the race, still going though, but he does still need to get his pit stop out of the way, which will very likely put him behind Denise Pope, at least maybe Van der Woerd as well, as the gap between Mountain Vince and Greg Hill are only down to 4 seconds up for the top spots in the AM category in this race. Though on count back then, Craig Hill will need to win this race, and Mountain Vince will have to finish 3rd or lower for Craig to get the championship there. As if Craig Hill wins the AM category and Mountain Vince finishes 2nd, they will be equal on point with an equal amount of wins. But Mountain Vince will then have a P2 that Craig Hill doesn't. But that will be interesting to see what happens there after the season. I'm not entirely sure how that countback actually works, but I'm also just a stupid commentator, so why would I know stuff like that? Parties have caught up to the back of Michael Degore at this point. And Degore does go wide. They're not the best place to try the overtake into the next corner, but will Parties be brave enough? No, he does just slot in behind Degore. That would have been the move of a century if he managed to pull that off without contact, if Degore didn't just let him by. But into the final corner we go now. Parties up the inside, keeps it narrow, forces Degore wide. Who gets early on the front? Did look quite equal, but Degore just seems to be slightly better there on the initial acceleration, but Parties catches a slight bit of slipstream and some lagging is going on my stream, so they're rubber banding quite a bit for me. Interesting to see who comes out ahead. Parties takes turn 1 ahead of Digore, but still side by side into turn 2. Digore on the outside of Parties, who's keeping it on the inside. Steve Park gets back into the action of this one. As we're speaking, Van der Linden have gone into the pits. By the way, that did look like that Parties did get the move done on Digore there. Good move from Parties up into 5th position in the race. 5.8 seconds behind of Cohen Geens at this point. He could definitely try and close that gap and get the overtake done there, as a top 3 is still possible technically for Parties, as he does have a lot of pace on the drivers ahead of him. Maybe not quite enough there, as Parker tried there, trying to stay close at least to Digore and challenge for that 3rd position in the AM category as well. Let's just wait and see what happens between those guys, because that could be interesting for podium positions in this race. At least further down the line, that's Schenkelins in the background, who could potentially be trying to unlap himself from these guys, but he might just be playing it safe and staying behind and waiting for these guys to go into the pits. Both Priatko and Jesse Van Dryle comes into the pits as we are getting very close to the halfway point of the race. Steve Parker as well comes into pit lane. Parties have gone in ahead of these guys. Dimitri Schenk could be the next guy to go in for the stop if he tries. No, he continues. He stays out on track for at least one more lap, as we have just passed the exact halfway point of the race time-wise. Cohen Geens have snuck up into 2nd position after the pit stops, after the drivers have gone into the pits there. Though half a minute almost behind Richard Prixley. 27 seconds at least for Cohen Geens. But he's still trying his chances, trying to have slightly fresher tires than the most people around him will for the final parts of this race. And we at this point can also say with almost certainty that it will not rain in this race either for these guys. A group of cars going down the start-finish straight once again. None of those guys opting to come into the pits this time around. 971 already stopped, so he will not either. Prixley, where's he on track? He didn't take the pits either this time around. He's already in the by the end of the 1st sector. But he's stuck in traffic now. He could try to pit and get out of this, but I think that's one of the DDS cars ahead of him, and he will very likely just move out of the way. That's Wouter Vince actually. Interesting to see what he will do, as he is only 6 seconds behind Jesse Van Dryle, who looks to be sneaking the AM win in this one. If Wouter Vince doesn't get a good amount of pace, he just grabs out of nowhere, as Craig Hill have caught right up to Wouter Vince. Actually, this could be potentially interesting. An interesting battle between the two drivers, between two top AM drivers in the championship at the minute. Craig Hill, remember, have a bit fresher tires. Ooh, Craig Hill, a bit fresher tires than Wouter Vince, as Vince went in quite early in this one. Cohen Geens and Digore have come into the pits as well as we're speaking. From provisionally 2nd and 3rd, Cohen Geens have started moving again and are out of the pits. Digore will be passed, it looks like. Yes, they go through or go past Digore at least. It looks like, at Van Dosberg as well. So Digore, who was quite far up the order before his pit stop round here, I think he was 4th before the pit stops, have fallen behind these drivers at least. So that's an interesting situation in the race. Just waiting for Digore to pass over the 1st sector splits to get confirmation on where exactly they are. Yes, they are ahead of Digore, which means that it's in the AM class as we are speaking. It's Jesse Van Dryle leading, with Cohen Geens 2nd, Wouter Vince in 3rd, and then Craig Hill right in the back of Wouter Vince in 4th position in the AM class. This could be very interesting. They are exactly almost exactly one lap down to Richard Priestley at this point, but Priestley still haven't taken his pit stop as we are speaking. He might do it this time around. We'll just have to wait and see. Dimitri Schenk also haven't stopped yet. Neither have Brock Hoven. But I feel like it would be optimum for these drivers to take the pit stop quite soon to get out the win, trying to have equally fresh tires for the first and second part of the race. Greg Hill looks very racy in the back there of Wout Wins, but he does lose quite a bit of time there. Not early enough on the throttle. He might even have lifted to try and avoid a track warning out of the final corner of the track. A quick reminder for those out there who haven't signed up yet for the 6th season of the SSRI GT3 Championship. Sign-ups are open on the sim grid, so please hurry up and get your spot secured in next season's championship. It would be nice to see you all out there, and remember to tune right back into this channel in the weekend, as we will be broadcasting the 12 hours of Spa as well, third round of the Endurance Championship this season, as it looks like that Craig Hill and Wout Wins have caught up to the back of Cohen Geens. So this battle that was for P3 in the AM category have now become the battle for P2 in the AMs of this race. Quite interesting to see, as these drivers are still duking it out between them, Craig Hill and Wout Wins. So it might be a bit of who's most tactical about using Cohen Geens to their advantage in this situation between them, as they have caught up to Cohen Geens. But whether or not that they can actually get the pass done or the overtake done, that's a whole different story. Priestley and Schenkten still haven't pitted yet. By the way, they kept out that though Priestley gets another chance now, though doesn't look like that if driven into the pits. He might just be showcasing his tire management at this point, just for the sake of doing so. Almost equal distances between the three McLaren drivers here. Still a top three McLaren only in the AM category. Craig Hill on the outside of Wout Wins. Can he get that move to stick? He needs help from Cohen Geens to slow down Wout Wins. No, it doesn't stick. But very interesting is still the top four of the AM category are still McLaren cars. Same goes for the championship standings, and for most races this season we have seen the top three of the AM class being all McLarens. Denise Pope did manage to sneak the Porsche of hers into the top three and scoring the second place on the podium on Mount Panorama. But this have actually given Cohen Geens a little bit of a gap to these two drivers. Looks like Hill can try the move here. Defensive line from Wout Wins. Wins goes wide there in the defensive approaches. Remember that Parties right behind them are catching as well. Craig Hill on the outside still trying it. Difficult to do it out of here. The next corner is not an overtaking opportunity as per se, so he will have to slide behind. But look at how close Parties gets to these two drivers now. He might be the one who throws a bit of a spanner into this battle, and could be used tactically to progress or gain a little bit of an advantage on the other driver in the battle. Exit of the final corner. Looks like Craig Hill actually gets a little bit of a better exit there than Wout Wins, and he's tucked into the slipstream. Will this be enough to try the move into turn 1? Parties looks as will to have good speed. Richard Priestley goes into the pits. This could be a free wide situation. Craig Hill tries the inside there, but have to bail out of this as Parties keeps it on the racing line and makes the overtake on Craig Hill. Amazing drive there from Parties. Very, very nice drive. Good and smart move from Parties as well, but getting a little bit too close there to Wout Wins. And he looks to be losing out to Craig Hill again at this point. If I was Craig, I would probably let Parties go through and try and use him to get my move done on Wout Wins, and not lose too much in Parties' attempts there. But look at the gap that Cohen Geens have gotten from this just this sequence of battles between 2.6 seconds now from Cohen Geens down to Wout Wins. Big gap opened up there. Quite interesting to see, as Dimitri Schenk looks to have taken the provisional lead or taken the lead of the race, but he's still yet to pit. Of course, not updated on the timing sheets yet, as both Schenk and Priestley need to cross the first timing line for that to happen. Stop go 30 for Brock Hoven. Unfortunately for him, that must have been speeding in the pit lane. I do think it is. This time looks like that Craig Hill are leaving the room there for Parties. Parties takes the position, and now Parties can focus down, trying to catch back up to Vaughn Vince and get that move done. But remember, all this battling is actually allowing for Ian van der Linden to get somewhat close to Craig Hill. And that could become a factor later in the race. Digore also right on the back of Steve Parker, as I think that's what we are getting in the bottom screen. Parker still not too confident through turn 1. Digore, sorry, on the inside of Parker there. Seems to have the move done quite easily, unfortunately for the viewers out there. But at least Digore does get that position, and Parker drops down into to 11th position in the race. Bit unfortunate for Parker, as he did have a good start to this one, getting around the big incident in turn 2. Craig Hill still, he's actually keeping up with Parties somewhat, as Parties have closed the gap right up to Vaughn Vince. If they were in a voice chat together, I think that they would be that Hill would be screaming at Parties to wait with the move until he's closer. But whether or not they are that good friends, we'll have to wait and see. Looks like that's Brock Hoven who have come in to save the stop go 30. I thought it was Dimitri Schenk who came in to do his mandatory pit stop. Vaughn Vince defending a little bit there, but he looks like, yeah, he was defending there, but Parties breaks too late. But could be having a run with slipstream assisted, of course, into turn 1. Vaughn Vince is not interested in losing too much time battling here, as Craig Hill could potentially get up there and try for the overtake if he loses too much. This won't change the championship standings when they're this far down the order. They need to be 1 and 3 for anything to happen, but it does. It is a little bit of a personal thing when you can manage to beat your rivals on track, of course. I know, at least from experience, that it means a lot to me when I get to beat my rivals on track, though I don't see them that often anymore, at least cars or drivers that I consider rivals for different reasons. Not that much difference in pace, but normally something happens to my great rival, a good friend Bas van Melis. Shout out to him out there in the wherever you are in the world at the minute, whether or not that you're watching the race or doing family time. We might never know. Dimitri Schenk comes into the pit to serve his pit stop. As Parties are still trying to find a way through Vaughn Vince for P6 overall in the race, and Ian van der Linden have caught right back up to this train of 4 cars, being the caboose of this small train. Yes, I do like to say caboose because I know what the word means, so good luck for you out there figuring it out if you don't know it, and you could probably start getting into trains, then you would definitely know it. Parties does take a much tighter line through the final corner. That could help him once again, but it does seem that the McLaren have good speed on the Ferrari this time around. But no, this time Parties definitely have the chance into turn 1. He will at least force Vince out on a less optimum line, as it looks like that he tried the cutback there, Vince, but there was a car in the way, which means Craig Hill gets a massive run into turn 2. Craig Hill on the inside of Vaughn Vince goes for the move and gets the move done, using the traffic as predicted to get that move done, but they have lost so much time to Koenig East at this point that I don't think they will manage to catch back up to him with only 18 minutes left to go in this mighty race. Now it's a matter of whether or not that Ian van der Linden can take advantage of this situation, as well as Van der Linden does have much newer tires than Vaughn Vince, which we of course have to remember is a big factor on this driving that's going on at the minute out there on track, that Vince boxed quite early in the race with expected damage, and of course to get his fresh set of tires, as there are mandatory tire changes in the race. Where did Dimitri Schenk emerge on track? He got back out in 12th position. He can still recover at least 11th in this race, as he has much fresher tires than Brookland back there. But nevertheless, Ian van der Linden keeping up with championship leader Vaughn Vince at this point in the race. doing a good job of that as well, though. It only takes 1 or 2 good corners for Vince to break the slipstream. Or a small mistake from from Van der Linden, of course, then he can manage to break it. But the drivers do need to be careful with the track limits in a race like this, especially around Valencia. It is not as bad as when the track immediately came out. They have patched a little bit to make it slightly more drivable in regards to the track limits. And cheers to the CBSR team out there watching in the YouTube chat, I can see. Always good to get the good old throat lubricated for the remainder of this race. Just over 15 minutes to go, and this could be the battle for the last parts of the race. Whether or not that Van der Linden can keep up with Vince and his much older tires and get the overtake done. As Craig Hill is actually still keeping up with parties for 5th overall in the race. Parties only 5 seconds behind Cohen Geens as well, so that could be interesting to keep a little eye on as well in the background. Van der Linden not with the best of exits down to the start-finish straight. The DDS car of Vince did get a little bit of a gap there, but he is in a tough situation with a car on fresher tires behind him. And we have seen good driving. Ooh, that must have been a back marker. They went flying around the outside there. I think that's Van Ostbergen in that bright orange and black McLaren. Wasn't prepared to see that coming up, but hey ho, they got through nice and safely. Looks like Van der Linden actually got a little bit closer to Vince through that sequence of corners and the overtaking of the back marker. Do remember that Van der Linden is not a slow driver by any means. He have had good results both in this season and previous seasons as well. So he is an experienced enough driver that he could try for reasonable moves, and it does look like on the screen now that Van der Linden did go through. I was just looking on some championship stuff, so as that happened, of course I missed it, but Van der Linden up into, that will be 7th position in the race overall, and 4th in class in the AM category. Not the best of showings there from expected championship winner, Founder Vince, in this race so far, but with the damage early, he is just trying to recover as many points as possible, trying to keep as many of the other AM cars behind and losing as little as possible to the likes of Craig Hill, who's currently just chilling around. I'm just going to look a little bit on the sheet again, trying to see in the top class, as this could be Priatko will probably go up into 2nd place in the championship, as both Frank Hopp have issues and Bart Swearing had the disconnect earlier on. This could potentially also bring Parties into the mix for the top 3 actually. That's quite no, maybe not, as Shinklins is actually not that many positions behind in silver class. It just looks like with all the AIMs mixed in between, but close to being in the mix, at least for Parties, and that might be the reason why he's driving so well at the minute, trying his best as Brock Coven goes into the pits one more time for unknown reasons. On board with Craig Hill. Always good cameras to see how the cars react on track to the current conditions. Of course, it's almost an optimal track, both the track itself, but temperatures for racing also quite good. Maybe a little bit higher on the track temp, but not so high that it's unmanageable for the drivers. 12 minutes to go of the season. Still only one drive-through in the race, but they can come quickly here when we are reaching the end. Driver fatigue could become a factor in this one. As always, of course, as there are a lot of corners that you have to navigate around this track, and the lap times are not that big, so it's a lot of laps that you have to do, and the concentration might drop due to that. For some drivers, for others it keeps increasing and increasing the concentration. But Craig Hill and Parties are actually catching up to Cohen Geens at this point. Not that far behind, 1.5 seconds behind. Craig Hill have really managed to slot in behind Parties in this one. And if Craig Hill gets that move done on Cohen Geens, then I'll just have to go look on the point differences. As I, for some reason, didn't have that open before the race. But not that difficult to find, of course. But nevertheless, it is a good drive from Craig Hill, getting himself all the way up in this position at the minute. So yeah, good to see from him. Situation is for Craig Hill that he needs to score 4 points more than rounds of wins. So yeah, it could actually be very much on for him in this one. And currently he's third, which will give him 18, and wins is down in fifth, which is only 13, which actually means that if these results hold, then Craig Hill will become champion of the AIMS. Quite interesting scenario there. And Cohen Geens are also in the mix, only 7 points behind Vince before this race, and 3 points behind Craig Hill. That could actually be no, that's 3 points. Just go back to the maps for a bit. That would actually put them equal on points if these results hold, but it does look like that Craig Hill could be on the move for the overtake on Geens later on this one. But it will be important for championship standings for Craig Hill to and Cohen Geens, whether or not that they will swap positions in this one. And of course we'll have to wait for Stewart's reports to come in, and instance reports, and people will probably start to look for something to happen to their rival drivers in this one to maybe throw them a bit under the bus to sneak or to snatch out these positions. It will be very interesting to see and follow up. Now we're looking from the rear, or from the roof over the rear wing of Cohen Geens' car. We can see that's Parties that's first in line to attempt the moves. It will be very tight. Still 9 minutes to go, and one thing is catching up to a driver. It's a whole different ball game trying to overtake. We all know that from experience, at least those of us who have track experience in driving. It might be too long time for Grandpa Chris Hill behind the cameras to remember stuff like that, how it works on track. But you never know. 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Prixley in the final sector, about a 1:30, 32 lap times I think they're doing in this race. Might be slightly quicker. Starting his lap time. Now another one soon. Further down the field, it's Michael de Goray who have caught up to the back of Vince, and Van der Linden as de Goray makes slight contact there. Vince's race and championship hopes can be going way down the drain if de Goray gets this move done. Looks like as Vince have troubles on those tires, it looks like de Goray on the inside of Vince. Ooh, de Goray did get that one snatched there. A little bit of contact, but nothing seemed to happen. Overshot the corner de Goray did there, and on the top screen there Parties makes the moves, and Cohen Geens looks like Parties did get that one done before the final corner, as de Goray is also pulling a little bit of a gap there on rounds of wins. Interesting things happening here with less than 10 minutes to go of this racing season of the second tier of the SSRI GT3 Season 5 Championships. This is not the time to go to the toilet or go to get a drink. Everything is still on the table for these drivers. Craig Hill on the back of Cohen Geens. This could be definitively for the championship if Craig Hill gets this position move on Cohen Geens. Of the aim category, of course, we are speaking. But will he get it done? 7 minutes to go. Big mistake there from Part C's, just up ahead of these this battling duo of Craig Hill and Cohen Geens. Very close to on board with Craig Hill now. Let's see how he drives his McLaren through these corners. When does he brake? About now, I would assume. Yes. White trying to dive to the inside. Different lines between Geens and Craig Hill. Hard to say which is better, as it looks like that Geens actually makes up time on Craig Hill there on the exit of that corner. Geens are quite lucky that he can stay with, if he can stay within the slipstream of parties, that will help him out quite a bit in these closing stages of the race, with keeping Craig Hill behind, and will make sure it doesn't go to a countdown in the championship or count back in the championship. But whether or not that it will, he can actually manage to do so, we'll have to wait and see. 6 minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen. 6 very, very tense minutes for Craig Hill and Cohen Geens. Geens haven't had that much success overall in the season, but have just been there on the right times. You've been on the right place in the right time, basically throughout most of the season. Not a big contender for results throughout the season in general. I think he had he have been quite consistent with 3 podiums out of 4 possible, and no finishes outside of the top 5. But not a driver that have been too noticeable, to be honest, this season. With he've just managed his own pace basically, and yeah, well, he had a made sure that we got a bit of action on Panorama with the big battle with Denise Pope and the rest of the AIM guys that are stuck behind Dimitri Schenk. That just seemed to be driving that train like a madman. Oh, well, not like a madman, nothing wrong with the way he drove that, to be perfectly honest, but he was driving the train at least. But Craig Hill lost out a bit of time there to Cohen Geens. He will have to claw it back. Less than 5 minutes to go in the race. This will be very, very interesting to see the outcome of. Who could potentially also put Vince out of the top 3. Right now he would need 16 points to overtake Geens, so that is quite unlikely that would happen. That would mean Gore would basically have to win this one, but yeah. Dimitri Schenk, we haven't seen too much of his car in this race, as Van der Linden in the background is all over the back of Steve Parker. It looks like, was that Brock Hoven, I think, and Steve Parker. No, that is Parker, and what is that? A 6 car. That is Van der Wood. They are not on the same lap. But whether or not that Parker is lapping Wood or Wood is unlapping himself, I'm not too sure of at this point. Does look like that they are having quite a bit of a battle between themselves. Further up the field, that's Iron Van der Linden and Michael de Gore. De Gore are keeping position at the minute. Van der Linden on the inside now through the hairpin. He does seem to get the move done there on de Gore. And de Gore keeps Vince behind as well, which could be important for a championship further down the line. Van der Linden goes a little bit wide. That gives de Gore a chance, but I don't think de Gore will have a chance into the next corner. Here, a little bit too much excitement here in the closing stages of this race, with big things on the line. De Gore on the outside there of Iron Van der Linden. Switching back to the inside, making the move into the final corner. This will compromise his corner exit, as Van der Linden will tuck right back into the slipstream and try for the move into turn 1. But remember, we have seen this before in the race, that if Wouter Vince keeps close enough, then he can take full advantage of this, as these two drivers will be much slower through turn 1 than Vince will be. Vince could get a massive run into turn 2. Here we see Vince overtaking Van der Linden, and de Gore really making sure that he got that one nice and tightly. Van der Linden back on the inside, big contact, more contact, slightly more contact, demon dragging Vince. That could potentially be something for the stewards to look at after the race if this gets reported. Not very good there for Vince and his chances, as he drops way back. Now he's behind Steve Parker as well, as Vince just plows it into the wall for unknown reasons and returns to the garage. That is very unfortunate for Vince, as that is definitively championship over for him. which could be the chance for Michael De Gore. How many points will he get for the 4th place in the championship? Will that be enough? That will be 15 points, but I think he needs 16 to equal out Vince. So unfortunate for De Gore that will just be exactly not enough for him to move up into the silver category. But further up the field, this is now the battle for the championship win between Craig Hill and Cohen Geens in the silver class. Everything on the line for Craig Hill and Cohen Geens. 2 more laps, it seems like they will get off racing. Will Craig Hill go for the move? They could potentially, if they both crash out, then it will be De Gore who takes it off the hands of them if they fall far enough down the order. Or at least De Gore could sneak into the top 3 if this goes completely wrong for these 2 guys. So everything really to play for them. Parties haven't managed to break the gap yet to Van der Linden, sorry, not to Cohen Geens, which means that Geens does get the slipstream on this lap, on the final lap. Richard Prexley starts the final lap of this season for him. Dominant performance throughout him. It did look like that he could have been in trouble today by Pascal Vida, but unfortunate disconnects from Pascal Vida's side did play it right into the hands of Richard Prexley in this one. Or Pixley, I should say, now that it's the final round of the season, just to make sure that everyone knows that I actually do know the guy's name. But I prefer the other one. One final lap for Prixley to get this done. And these drivers we're following around here, they will have 1 more lap they'll have to complete after this one. Craig Hill on the outside now, trying to get the better run down the start-finish straight. I've been in the exact position of Cohen Geens once before around this track. Onto the final couple of laps where I had to defend like a madman. Almost lost it on the very final lap in the final corner, but didn't. But yeah, interesting to see Craig Hill there trying some good jukes into turn 1. Didn't seem to bother Cohen Geens too much. He did make a little bit of a move trying to defend it, but still going. Not many chances left for Craig Hill to get the overtake on Cohen Geens. They will end equal on points if this holds up, I do believe. So interesting situation there. As Richard Prexley comes across the line to finish the season. Dominant performance. He didn't even have to race this one to mathematically secure P1 in the Silver Championship. So Silver Champion Richard Prexley and Drew Priatko will finish it in 2nd position, at least this race. Priatko will, and Parties are 3rd in this race. Priatko will actually finish 2nd in the championship orders, I do believe, if these results hold. I could be a little bit wrong with how many points that Shinklins gets for what he's doing, but I do think that this means Priatko is 2nd, and whether or not that it's then Geens or Shinklins in 3rd, that will be an interesting counting situation. Final corner we go. Craig Hill couldn't get the job done on Cohen Geens, so they will finish equal on points, tied for the AM category, I do believe. A good battle from these guys throughout this race. And something that we haven't talked about for almost half an hour at this point. Jesse van Dryle, ladies and gentlemen, finishes 2nd in AM after, or at least in this race. Good job from him. Now full podium for silver would have been Prexley, Priatko and Parties. And AM it was Jesse van Dryle, Cohen Geens and Craig Hill. Good drive from De Gore as well, securing P4 in that AM category. Recovery from Pope and Frank Hop didn't go exactly as planned, as they finished 13th and 14th. Bit unfortunate there. This definitely put a span on Frank Hop's season. He just needed to be somewhat in a reasonable position to secure that top 3, but wow, what a season we have had, ladies and gentlemen. Dramatic all the way down to the final race for basically all positions, except for, of course, the overall Tier 2 win and Silver Champion, Richard Prexley. let's just wait. Just wait and see if anyone wants to come in and talk to us about the race and maybe the season. Maybe be a little bit of prolonged interviews, as there will be talks for next season as well. Let's just give it a little bit of time, but few final words on the season before we start to see the influx of people who want to get interviewed, of course. Yeah, just overall good performance. A little bit of a shame the way that the season ended there for Wout Vince, at least. He should have probably continued to drive the race. If he could have stayed on the same lap as the other drivers, he could have probably gained quite a bit from getting a report out to the stewards, as it did look like something that was reportable with the move from Iron van der Linden. But it will be up to these guys to decide between them what will happen there. As I think we'll get some highlights running in quite soon on the stream. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what a season we have had. Excitement from race 1 to race 5, basically. A lot of McLaren dominance in the AM category. It is an easy car to drive and it's easy to be fast in. It is difficult to be extremely fast and very fast in that car, but very easy to be at least fast in the McLaren. So that might be the reason why we've seen so many of them. Also a good car overall to drive. Same goes for the Ferrari, easy car to drive, not that hard on tires or fuel. But yeah, just top performances, and good to see the Nissan being selected, of course, by Prexley. Strong liveries as well we have seen all season from these drivers. I don't think that we have seen a single bad livery. Speaking of liveries, we get Denise Pope's car on the stream, of course. One of my personal favorite all-time livery makers, the Wild Things Racing liveries, are quite iconic at this point. We have seen them almost every single season that we have seen in SSRI Racing. And they normally seem to show up in droves for the season. So yeah, that's easily recognizable, and with the sponsorship of the Colex on the car as well for this season for the Wild Things Racing team. So good to see them out there as well. Still no one for the interviews. We are getting to a point where if people don't start joining, then we will start to close down the broadcast. It would be lovely to see someone getting in here. Soon, shortly, or whatever. No, still no one coming. Can I offer any of you a chance to come in to get an interview? You do that by going onto the Discord and then jumping into the interview waiting room under broadcasting. It would be nice to see someone there. We are interested in talking to basically anyone from the entirety of the season. No matter how your season have gone, or the race or anything, basically, I'm just sat here saying words now to fill out the time. As we are joined in the commentary booth by Craig Hill.
Oh.
Craig, what an interesting finish to the season for you, actually.
That or not?
I have counted the points, and I do think that you were tied for the AM category with Cohen Geens, who finished that one spot ahead of you in this round.
Yeah, which I just did the maths, and that's a 3-point gain. Am I right in thinking that?
You were... Yeah, but you were, 3 points clear of him before this race, and
so we're level on points.
Yeah, you should be level on points, but we're actually joined by Cohen Geens as well. And here you're level on points, but I do think there'll be some countbacks that will go in your favor on that one. Cohen Geens level on points with the other guy in the commentary booth as well, Craig Hill, and good battle you two had after the season, tied for P1 the championship.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
I didn't realize you were in the battle either before this race, but quick question to both of you: are you happy with how the season went?
Yeah, sure.
Brilliant.
I'll let Greg answer first.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really, really good. Really well run. Commentary was good.
We did our best at least.
No, we did really well. No, it's good. I enjoyed it. And if I get the win out of this, then I'll be even happy.
Yeah, we did see that it could actually come down to this final battle that you two guys got to have in this race in the final couple of laps. I was thinking at the point when you, Craig, was battling Vince that you lost too much time with the battle with Vince and Parties to catch back up to Geens, as he got a big gap there. But in the end,
So
yeah,
when I got spun at the beginning, I thought that was the end of it. And then I saw about 2 minutes later that Vince was in front of me. So he obviously got spun as well, I'm assuming. So I was right back in it. I managed to clear him, but that was kind of on purpose. I was getting fed up with, Parties behind me. I'd rather have him in front of me than behind me. So I let him go on the last corner and thought I'd let Vince deal with him.
Yeah, I was also thinking that the smart move, as Parties did look a little bit quicker than you for a long time. Both you and Vince, that it would have been getting him through and then take advantage when he was making the move on Vince for the overtake. But good battles out there. You got to battle both the championship leader before this race for position and who turned out to be your bitter rival for a championship here at the end.
Yeah, I didn't really think about Cohen, to be honest. I looked at the table this morning and I saw Vince was in front of me, so I thought just finish ahead of him, and that's it. But then I remembered that Cohen was behind me, and I couldn't remember by how many points.
3, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot closer. I looked at the table afterwards, and it was a lot closer than I thought this morning.
When we're looking on you two guys' seasons, and none of you have finished outside of the top 5 the entirety of the season. But are there any of the results that you guys think that where you really should have had that extra position in the races throughout the entirety of the season?
Brands Hatch for me, I think I finished 5th there, and that was lower than expected because I was quite fast. For my abilities, I was quite fast there on that track, and during the race, it really never happened for me. So I think I ended 5th there, if I'm not mistaken.
You are absolutely not mistaken. I have it right up on my screen at the minute. And that 5th place is basically what cost you a championship in the end.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. If you say so, I don't even know. I don't even know. 2nd place is good enough for me. If I can win, I can win, but probably not, though. I don't know. We'll see.
I also think it would have been fun if you would have won the championship, because then you would have won the championship without having won a single race.
Yeah. Consistency does something too.
It surely does, but nevertheless, that Craig have actually managed to win a race early in the season that might be the tiebreaker on this one. Craig, you could be very happy with that one win you got at Kota, but do you think that you could have won more races this season? We have seen a lot of good battles in AM all year round, but do you reckon that you could have maybe done 5 laps more of practice and got those final 10th that could have gained you the positions?
Not really, no. I think that was me at my max. I don't really like practicing either. I try to practice as little as possible.
The words of a true champion.
It seems to me that the more I practice, the worse I get. So I don't practice too much, but it's the race, right? It's like Cohen said, it's the consistency. That's the difference. I don't win races because of pure pace. You just stay out of trouble and you finish the race. You pick up positions as you go.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if you're consistent enough, then you will be in a position where if other people makes the mistakes, then you can pick up the scraps and get those top results. That's your results are basically the complete opposite of Jesse van Dryle, who have won the 2 last rounds of the AM Championship. He seemed to be in a lot of trouble in the first 3 races. That definitely cost him the chance of a championship. Do you reckon that that next year, of course, you'll go into the silver class, but do you think that you can cause some havoc there? Of course, we will not have Prixley there who won. I haven't done the maths on the rest of that class, but do you guys reckon that you can go up and fight for the top of that? We have seen you being very consistent in the races and even finishing top 10s overall.
I don't know. Is 2nd place going to silver also?
Yes, top 3 I think gets promoted. I can tell you this much, that before
Well,
this round, you were
yeah.
6th and 9th in the overall championship.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to. Yeah, I was. Sometimes I was a little bit faster than the silver guys, but I don't know if I could challenge. If I would be driving that tier, I don't know. I think I'm a bit too slow to compete with the silver drivers. I don't know. Either way, it would be fine for me to be in AM because my 2 other teammates are driving there too, so it doesn't really matter where I'll end up. If I'm with my teammates, it's okay. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
before we...
Same
Yeah,
here. I don't see you fighting at the front, but it'll be fun anyway. Go along for the ride.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the track action that you can and the fun that you can have on the track, of course. But going into next season, are you guys both planning on signing up? If you haven't already.
I've already signed up.
Yep, same. It won't be in the McLaren next season. It'll be the BMW.
Ooh, spicy news. Craig Hill's switching to the German manufacturer. Can Cohen maybe also give us a little bit of an?
I think I'll stick with the McLaren at the moment. Yeah, I don't see any reason to change. I'm still quite new at this sim driving. I think it's close to 2 years. No, maybe a year and a half. I've been driving now, so no, I need experience. So if I'm quite fast in a particular car, I'll stick to that one, and we'll see. Yeah. I'm new, still newbie, so yeah.
You can join me on the Lexus team for next season. It would be nice to see another one of those on track.
Lexus,
yeah, awful car to drive, but very fun.
It's been didn't it get a boost or something?
Yeah, but not enough to make it competitive, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. So no, I won't be driving a Lexus.
Unfortunate.
No. Yeah.
From the looks of the season, it's the Nissan is the OP car, isn't it, to drive?
It looks like it, but we will be bringing back the LFM Bob next season. I do believe that would probably equal it out a little bit more again. But yeah, we actually I looked on the sign-ups a few days ago, and I actually only saw the one Nissan from Richard Priestley again next season. So not a lot of people have bitten on the bait by seeing how quick the car was here in the aim. Of course, Priestley should have probably also been in a higher tier, but that's a whole nother story.
I think so. Yeah. He was a bit fast.
Yeah, but anyways, before we round off the season with a few final words, then one last question from me to both of you guys. During the First World War, do you reckon that the Red Baron was the best fighting pilot out there?
I only know the Red Baron, so for me, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say yeah as well.
Yeah.
The only one we could ask for proper confirmation would be Chris Hill, as he actually used to live back then. That's how old he is.
Not bad. Congrats.
No, but any final words of the season before we close down?
See you next season. Thanks for the fun broadcasting, the fun commentary. Yeah, and I hope you continue this for the next couple of races. Yeah.
Oh, I'll retire early. I've heard the SSRI pension is very good.
You won't resign? No retirement for you? No. Just continue.
Then I'll just have to continue. But
okay.
anyways,
yeah.
For the last time this season, I have been Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver, joining me the entirety of the season, and as always have been Grandpa Chris Hill behind the cameras. Thank you guys, everyone out there, for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again next season, and this Saturday when we go live at about 12:20 Central European time for the 12 hours of Spa in the Endurance Championship. Bye bye, guys. End the song. Ba ba da ba ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.